Yeah, I thought you might wonder where the name Troponin comes from. So you're here with Team Troponin. Well, what is troponin? Troponin is involved in a muscle contraction. It's required for muscular contraction. It's a complex of molecules. So what happens is you have a muscle cell, calcium, 1 plus 2 rushes in, and calcium binds to something called troponin, which moves troponin off of tropomyosin, which allows myosin and actin cross-bridge heads to interact and cross over each other, which shortens the muscle. If you take a bicep and you shorten the muscle, bad drawing, that's what's happening. Those myosin and actin cross-bridge heads cross over each other, and that's all dependent on troponin, where calcium comes into the muscle cell, binds to troponin, moves troponin off of tropomyosin, and allows a muscular contraction to happen. So without troponin, you can't get a muscular contraction. Now, where did that name come from? Well, this is where it came from. Unfortunately, what else is troponin? Troponin is a cardiac marker for a heart attack. So where did the name troponin come from in Team Troponin? Where it came from was 20 some years ago. I was on the internet and I used as my handle or my name on bodybuilding forums either troponin or tropomyosin. And one really, I think, important forum for the sport of bodybuilding was called Muscle Mayhem. Chad Nichols' forum. I think it started, geez, I bet you I could tell, September, maybe October, probably September of 2002. And I know because I was obsessed with nutrition and learning about bodybuilding prep and coaching and bodybuilding nutrition. And so when a famous, at that time, the most famous, it was really him, Milos, and Chris Aceto, bodybuilding coaches or nutritionists, when one of them created a website, I was all over it. Well, my name on Muscle Mayhem was Troponin. My name on Intense Muscle was Troponin. Those were kind of the two biggest forums that I went to at the time, and I think probably the two biggest forums in general for bodybuilding. And so that's what everyone knew me as, Troponin. And so at one point, I was working with people as a coach, as a nutritionist, and people would always just call me Trop or Troponin. Well, they would say it wrong. They call it Troponin or Troponin or Trop or Trop. But when I created a website, didn't really have, wasn't thinking what to name it, so I thought I'll name it Troponin Nutrition. Not thinking it would ever become anything, and not thinking that 20 years later I would have to give my email address as justin@troponinnutrition.com or justin@teamtroponin.com multiple times, and then explain how to spell troponin, what is troponin, and then on the rare case, someone would say, I know what troponin is. My dad's troponin was high when he had a heart attack. But that's where it comes from. At its core, it's important cluster of molecules involved in a muscular contraction. Unfortunately, it's also, guys, one marker for cardiac disease or heart attack. But that's where the name came from.